You know, they just don't make them the way they used to. Although because of asbestos, that may be a good thing. A vintage fishing reel on today's asbestos artifacts. Welcome to Asbestos Artifacts, where we take a look at some old asbestos products and dig a little bit into the story behind them. I'm asbestos attorney Justinian Lane. You know what a fishtail is? No, not that kind. A fishtail or fish story is an exaggeration, a boast that's too good to be true. It comes from sailors bragging about the fish they caught and the incredible fight it took to land the fish. There's a kind of fishtail behind today's artifact, but we'll get into that later. Right now, let's take a look at what we have. This is a Damn Quick 4000, and that's not me cursing. The name of the company is Damn, and the Quick series was their famous spinning reel series, which some anglers swear is one of the best reels ever made. Fishing reels have an interesting history, evolving from simple ancient rigs to high-tech designs with motors and digital readouts. Our hominid ancestors were eating fish at least 1.9 million years ago, and archaeologists have found ancient fishing hooks made of bone dating back 10 to 20,000 years. Our earliest sighting of fishing reels is in the 10th century, painted images of anglers in China, although Chinese texts as early as the 4th century described fishing with spindle mechanisms to wind the line. In the 1600s, fishing reels are described as secret inside knowledge of pros, but by the 1800s, France has a reel, Britain has the Nottingham reel, American George W. Snyder had invented the Kentucky reel, and then German brothers named Fritz and Oskar Ziegenspeck developed a spinning reel to sell at their company Damn. Now, Damn is an acronym that stands for Deutsche Angelgeräte Manufaktur, which means German manufacturer of fishing tackle, and I apologize to our German friends if I butchered that. German engineering and machine parts are prized worldwide, and it's no exaggeration to say that in many online fishing circles, Damn quick reels are legendary and sought after. They're well engineered with robust parts and materials, and they were built to last, and as we'll see, that has a bit to do with the fishtail I mentioned earlier. Now, this is a Damn Quick 4000, a good-sized fishing reel often used for salmon in deep and hard-flowing rivers or tropical saltwater species like barracuda or mahi-mahi. But the reason that we're looking at this is written right here. This reel has a drag system that uses a disc made of asbestos. First off, a quick primer on fishing reels and what's a drag system. When a fish is hooked, it may make sudden runs or powerful dives, creating tension on the fishing line. If the fish pulls too hard, the line may snap and the fish will be lost. At the same time, if the fish pulls too much of the line, it may escape. So the drag system was developed to control the fishing line resistance. The drag system consists of a set of washers or discs that can be adjusted to control the amount of pressure applied to the spool. That regulates the line's release during a fish's struggle. This mechanism allows the angler to set a specific amount of resistance, which can be adjusted based on the size and strength of the targeted fish, preventing the fishing line from breaking under the tension created by a powerful or a fast-swimming fish. But the rapidly spinning reel and the friction from the break creates heat. We've talked about friction before when we did an artifacts episode on asbestos brake linings. When two surfaces are in contact, friction is the force that resists motion between them. Friction happens because if you zoomed in to a molecular level, even smooth-looking surfaces aren't really that smooth. Increased friction can create heat and wear away things like engine parts. Now, heat causes materials to warp and break down, and it makes brakes not work well, which isn't much help to an angler looking to adjust the tension on a fish. But if we use something that can withstand the heat, friction can help slow down the surface or even stop it altogether. That's what we call braking. The drag system applies brakes in the reel to control the level of tension on a fishing line. The drag system is made out of asbestos. Asbestos is a fireproof rock that forms as fibers which can be woven and cut, and in this case it was woven into a disc which can withstand the heat generated by applying brakes to a fishing line being yanked by rough waters and a resilient fish, but with enough control to avoid snapping the line. Damn helped invent the drag system, and its innovations also included a spring-loaded knob to apply the drag force evenly. The spring compensated for the metal drag components expanding from friction heat generated by the breaking of a rapidly spinning reel. These springs are now a standard component in most modern fishing reels. Fortunately, the asbestos drag disc is one aspect of today's artifact that's no longer a part of Damn fishing reels, because if you just use this reel and leave the disc inside undisturbed, there's at most a tiny chance of exposure to asbestos. But a lot of folks like vintage fishing reels, especially hardy ones that are built to last, like many vintage Damn reels. So there's a lot of videos and discussions about opening them up and cleaning or updating the reels. If you're somebody who likes to tinker or modify old fishing equipment, think about wearing a mask and having proper ventilation if you're going to be doing this with an asbestos fishing reel. Make sure to get a mask that is rated for asbestos. Now, when asbestos is encapsulated in a material like cement or vinyl, it's usually not dangerous. But when it breaks up into its fibrous components, and that's what we call friable asbestos, the fibers become airborne and the microscopic asbestos fibers can be easily breathed or swallowed. No amount of asbestos is safe to inhale or ingest, and any professional fisherman who developed asbestos-related cancers of the lung, throat, or digestive system may actually find a connection to the asbestos discs if they regularly opened their reels and changed them. And here's where that fishtail comes in. The major asbestos manufacturers knew in the 1940s that asbestos could cause cancer, but telling the truth would have ruined them, so the whopper of a lie they told for decades was that asbestos was safe. It isn't. Asbestos exposure has been proven to cause a number of serious diseases, including mesothelioma and lung cancer. As I said earlier, the risk of asbestos exposure from this fishing rod is pretty low during normal use, but opening it up and servicing it could expose you to substantially more asbestos than simply fishing. So if you've got an old fishing reel, do be careful when servicing it, because DAM is surely not the only manufacturer who would have used asbestos in their reels. Well, let's end this episode of Asbestos Artifacts with a true story of the first time I ever went fishing. The only thing I ever caught was an old boot, just like in the cartoons. I'm not kidding. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Asbestos Artifacts.